Well, hey guys, I want to take just a minute to do two things, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is help you figure out how to capture your screen so you can finish this assignment because you need to paste the final results you get in the political quiz into a Google Doc. I'm going to show you how to do that. That'll be short. If that's all you need, watch it, go on, you're good, okay? After that, I'm going to take a little bit of time and I'm going to walk you through the political quiz to make sure you understand the questions because some of them are a little bit funky and you might have a hard time with that. Okay, so if you have a Windows machine, okay, your laptop, desktop, whatever, the way that you capture whatever is on the screen at the time is by hitting the print screen button. Okay, that's usually labeled PRTSCR, and on my computer and on most computers, it's going to be up to in the top row of keys on your keyboard. You've got F1, F2, F3, all those. And for me, I find F12, and then right next to F12 is my print screen button. Okay, so if I press it, I hit it, didn't make any sound, didn't make any beep, no like flashing, you just captured your screen, whatever, but I did, okay? I probably did. So how do I make sure that I did it? Well, it's pretty easy. I'm gonna open up, see if you can see this here. Okay, this is my image viewer, and I'm gonna hit Control V. I'm gonna hold down Control and then hit V, and look at that. I just pasted that picture that I captured, and there we go. That is all you need to do in your Google Doc. I mean, not with your webcam on, obviously, but with the results of the assignment. Okay, so I do want to talk to you for a minute about. Oh, hit the wrong thing. I want to talk to you for a minute about this assignment because some of you're going to look at this stuff and you're going to say, I don't know what this means. All right, so I'm going to walk you through this just a little bit. I'm going to hit things. These are not my answers, but I want to make sure you understand what's going on for each of these. So you might want to watch this video while you have this open if it helps you, okay? So the first question says, which of the following statements comes closest to your view? Is it, first of all, the government should do more to help needy Americans, even if it means going deeper in debt? That means the government would go into debt, like the government's just going to print money to help people in need? Or do you believe the government today can't afford to do much to help the needy? In other words, we shouldn't give the needy more money than they already have. I'm just going to click one. This is not necessarily what I believe. It's just I'm clicking stuff, okay? I'm going to always click the top one for these just so you don't have to be like, what does he believe? I don't want you worrying about that right now. Second question, which of the following statements comes closest to your view? The government is always wasteful and inefficient. In other words, the government is always just spending way too much money on stuff it doesn't need to. It's wasting time and money and energy. Or do you think that government often does a better job than people give it credit for? So yeah, people complain about the government, but actually it helps people and it does a good job at things typically. All right, and again, I'm just clicking the top one because I don't want you worrying about me. All right, the next two options. Do you think the best way to ensure peace is through military strength? In other words, if you have a really strong military, nobody's going to mess with you. Or, you can back it up if you need to. You can go mess with them if they mess with you. Or do you think that good diplomacy is the best way to ensure peace? So having lots of conversations with other countries, with other individuals, is that the best way to ensure peace? Okay, and you might say, well, I think it's a balance between the two. Right, but you only have two choices here. So if you only could choose one, would it be diplomacy or would it be a strong military? All right, again, just clicking the top one. All right, between the two, racial discrimination is the main reason why many black people can't get ahead these days. Now, that could be current racial discrimination. It could be discrimination in the past that set them back economically. But why is it that many African Americans are in poverty in a greater statistical sample than, say, Caucasians? All right. Or do you think that blacks who can't get ahead in this country are mostly responsible for their own conditions? So you look at African Americans and you say, no, it's not about slavery back then. It's not about racism. It's because you're not working hard to get the job that you need. You're not getting the education, whatever. Okay. Those are the two options for this one. And again, click the top one. There's 17 questions here, which is why I'm going quickly. If you need help, shoot me an email. Or more help, I should say. All right, the two options here. Government regulation of business is necessary to protect the public interest. So, do we need regulations about anything? Okay, how about safety on toys? About how many pollutants are put into the atmosphere when we make stuff? About do you use lead in paint? Do you make people wear hairnets when they're working with food production? Or do you think that government regulation of business usually does more harm than good? It makes people spend a lot of money on things they wouldn't otherwise, so they can't hire lots of people, maybe. Um, and so it actually hurts the economy. Yeah, it might help a little bit, but it mostly hurts business, and that's bad. Those are the two choices for this one. Moving on. Two options. This one's pretty easy. Homosexuality should be accepted by society. The second is homosexuality should be discouraged by society. And I would say, notice it doesn't say encouraged and discouraged. Okay, it's just saying accepted. If somebody is, society should say, okay, it is what it is. Discourage would be saying, no, it's actually, it's morally wrong. We have an issue with that, and we should try to dissuade people from that. Okay, again, just click on the top one. All right. Do you believe that business corporations make too much profit? So they make all kinds of money that they shouldn't. Maybe they should charge less for their products. Maybe they should put more money back into the economy by, paying their people more or whatever. Or do you think that most corporations make a fair and reasonable amount of profit? So the money they make, yeah, it's fair. They earned it. They should get to keep it. Okay. Question number 8 says, stricter environmental laws and regulations cost too many jobs and hurt the economy. So if we say that your business needs to, have certain, can't put more than a certain amount of pollutants into the atmosphere, you might have to install some scrubbers in your smokestacks, and that might be expensive. Or you might have to dispose of certain kinds of waste in ways that take time and money and energy. Or do you think that, yeah, that might be true, but it's worth the cost? That's the second option. Stricter environmental laws and regulations are worth the cost. Okay. If you think that's the case, so yeah, it costs money, but you've got to protect the environment because it's all we've got. And we want to, protect it for our kids, and it really is a problem, then you might say the second one. Question number 9 says, you got to choose between these two. Immigrants today strengthen our country because of their hard work and talents. Notice this does not say illegal immigrants. It just says immigrants. Okay. I think that's an important distinction. So people that come in from other countries are typically hard workers, would be the top one. Or the bottom one says, no, those immigrants are a burden. They take our jobs, they take our housing, they take our health care. Okay. I will say, I'll soften that a little bit. I think that you could say all immigrants, both legal and illegal, in this one. So what do you think is primarily true of immigration? Okay. How do you view this? Make a choice. Okay. Click on the top one. Number 10. Poor people today have it easy because they can get government benefits without doing anything in return. Is that your mindset? That typically poor people are just getting welfare checks and they're sitting on the rear end and they're not working hard? Or do you believe that poor people have hard lives because government benefits don't go far enough to help them live decently? Okay. So the top one says they're pretty much being lazy. The second one says, man, there are a lot of poor people who have, 2, 3 jobs, and still that isn't enough, even with maybe some government benefits, to help them live at a level that's equatable to people in the middle class. Okay, what do you think? All right. Do you think the economic system in this country unfairly favors powerful interest? In other words, if you have more money, your voice is going to go further than other people. That's the top one. Okay, that could be individuals, it could be corporations, it could be even people in government that have more money. Maybe you're focusing on how much people donate to campaigns of particular individuals. Okay, or do you think that generally the economic system in this country is fair to most Americans? You're not worried about inequality based on I've got a lot of money and therefore my views are more easily heard. Okay. Click the top one. Number 12. Our country has made the changes needed to give blacks equal rights with whites versus our country needs to continue making changes to give blacks equal rights with whites. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm going to move on. Number 13. It's best for the future of our country to be active in world affairs. In other words, we need to look on what's going on out there. Maybe maybe knowing what's going on in other countries can help us be safe, can help us be more involved in protecting our economy. Or do you think we should pay less attention to problems over there and concentrate on the problems we have at home? And again, you may say both. But if you could only have one, would you rather say, yeah, let's be aware of what's going on out there because it could impact us in the future? Or should we say, let's worry about what we got going on right now? Okay? Oops. Right. Number 14. Do you believe that most people who want to get ahead can make it if they're willing to work hard? So if you're poor, you work really hard, you can end up middle class or rich. Okay, that would be the top one. Or would you say hard work and determination are no guarantee of success for most people? Okay, so in other words, this says, look, there are a lot of people who are poor and still aren't able to get into the middle class because maybe the system's stacked against them. All right, you choose whichever one you believe is best. Number 15, would you say the obstacles that made it harder for women than men to get ahead are now largely gone? In other words, women should be able to get equal. Pretty much there aren't that many obstacles. Or do you think there are still significant obstacles that make it harder for women to get ahead? Again, I think this is self-explanatory. Number 16, in foreign policy, the United States should take into account the interests of its allies, even if it means making compromises with them. Sometimes when we're dealing with England and Canada and France and Germany and these countries that are our friends today, they might want us to focus on something that wouldn't necessarily be our number one concern. If you are taking the first option here, you would say, yeah, maybe we need to listen to those things because if we give them what we want, maybe they'll give us what we want down the, did I just say that wrong? You know what I mean. If we give them what they want, maybe down the road, they'll give us what we want. On the other hand, the second option says in foreign policy, the US should follow its own national interests, even when the allies strongly disagree. So all of our allies say this, and we're going to do this thing over here. Tough question. Tell me what you think. Last one. In politics today, would you consider yourself Republican, Democrat, or independent? And again, I am just clicking the top thing so you don't have to freak out about me. I will say, if you click independent, it makes you say, well, which one do you lean more towards? Left-leaning or right-leaning? Okay. Now, when I ask you to give me a screenshot, I would love for you to scroll down just a little bit, and I would love to see this chart right here. If you give me this, that's not the end of the world. That actually helps. Actually, either one is fine. I like this right here. I think this is helpful. You can look down through here and it tells you the blue is what you said, or sorry, what most Opportunity Democrats said, which is what it said I would have been if with all the answers that I clicked on this one. And then the general public just means on average, here's what everybody said. Okay, so is there anything that is very, very different, might be interesting to look at? So like this one, there's a difference between the people group it lumped me with versus this. Okay, now, again, don't freak out. This doesn't necessarily mean I'm an Opportunity Democrat. Okay, it's just I clicked all the top stuff. So I'm curious in what it says you would be, and then how you feel about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that screenshot, hit print screen here, and then paste it into a Google Doc, and then tell me, do you think that this correctly identified you based on what it says down below and on the notes that we talked about in class today? Okay, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have any issues with this. Hopefully you learn a little bit of something about yourself. And hey, if you have any questions about all this, please ask me about those things in the Google form that I've dropped in Classroom today. I'd love to see your questions. I'd love to answer that in another video. So hopefully this is helpful, and I will see you soon.